Today we visit the first whiskey distillery of Italy. It's located in the small town of Glorenza in southern Tyrol. Now we're at the Reschenpass. It's the borderline between Tyrol in Austria and southern Tyrol in Italy. The pass is 1,455 meters high, which is about 4,800 feet, and you can take a good break before going into southern Tyrol. While we are here, we take a break at the Barrier Lake. After the Second World War, a whole town was drowned here, and you can only see the tip of the chapel sticking out of the lake. And now we are going down to southern Tyrol. You can see the flowers and the trees bloom, and in the middle of the town of Glorenza we find a brick building, and it is the Puni Distillery. The construction started in 2010, and the first spirit was distilled in the year 2012. The distillery is about 18 meters, about 59 feet, in height, depth and width. Here we see the draft dispensers, where the draft is sold to the farmers in the near vicinity of the distillery. On top of the cube we have the flat for the master distiller. It's a family member who owns the distillery. On the right we have a normal bricked building, and on the left we have a red bricked facade which is held together by steel girders. The pot stills are located in the basement. The stills were manufactured by the famous coppersmith Forsyth in the town of Rothes, Scotland. The size and shape of the pot still is formed after the Scottish pot stills, and in contrast to the rest of the European pot stills. We are now in the visitor centers, through which you can see the pot stills through a thick glass window. The glass window may prevent the hot steam from entering the visitor center, but you can already smell the whiskey production in full progress. In the visitor center we can see all the products. You can have the white, which is the unmatured one, and the Puny Alba, which is an 18-month matured whiskey. Not whiskey, spirit. The Alba was matured in Marsala casks, and Alba is Italian and stands for sunrise. It was Eastern time when we visited the distillery, and was perfect time to pick up some gifts for the people at home. This is the mascot of the Pune Distillery, and Pune is the small stream that flows through the town and gave the distillery its name. Unfortunately, the stream is a bit too small, so the water has to be taken from the highlands in the Alps. The Pune Distillery has a very classical design. It has two pot stills with a spirit safe in between. Both pot stills have a reflux bowl, and the line arm is nearly vertical but slightly falling. On the right we see the wash still, and on the left it's the spirit still. Now we see the mash tun. It's a modern copper mash tun with a lid on top. The production is very old school, with all the screw conveyors and rakes to empty the big tons from the malted barley and wash. The malt mill is an English model, and it's from the 19th century. A very durable machine, like the ones they have at Artbeck. Let's have a look into the mash tun. We can see the big automatic rakes that will turn when the mash tun is filled. On the bottom left we have the emptying hole, where the final mash is being released. And now you will see a ball. This is the ball that has been used to clean the mash tun. The malt at the distillery comes from 3 different types of cereals. First of all we have the barley, then we have the rye and the wheat. So is it still a single malt? Yes, because it comes all from the same distillery. That's what the single stands for. All of the malt comes from regional farms and has been harvested in relatively high altitude. Now we just saw the big reflux bowl that is used to separate the alcohols better, and if you have a good separated alcohol, the whiskey doesn't give you a hangover. The reflux bowl is most important in the spirit still. That's where the magic happens. On top you see an overpressure valve that prevents the pot from bursting from overpressure. And now we see the 4 size label and we know it is a professional pot still. And this is the condenser of the wash still. You can always identify a wash still by the blue bits on the flanges. It's the Scottish law. A spirit still has red flanges. The controls are rather classical and not very exciting. On the left and right of the still room, you see doorways following into strange cellars. We'll visit them later. Here we see the spirit safe. It has also been manufactured by Forsyths. It is used to control the spirit that has just been distilled. The still room is very compact, and you can see all the equipment just from standing in the visitor center above. And now we come to the wash bags, where the mash is fermented into the wash. Here the Puni Distillery has a unique feature. It is made of large wood rather than the Scottish Oregon pine. And here we find our strange ball again. The ball sprays the whole mash tun with water and doesn't need any chemicals to clean the mash tun. The hole in the bottom empties the mash tun and the nozzle on the top fills it up. And now we are in the side cellars next to the still room. It is a tasting room where you can have all the products that are being produced in the distillery and taste them just next to the still room. Unfortunately, no whiskey tastings yet. The oldest product is 18 months, so it's a spirit. But the character of the spirit is already a lot like the Scottish single malt Scotch whiskies. This is due to the high quality of the ingredients, the shape of the pot stills, and the masala casks that are being used for the maturation. This is one of the warehouses. Unfortunately, the Italian legislation doesn't let even the master distillers get into the warehouses without a tax collector. The distillery has a few more warehouses. There were old World War II bunkers inside the Alps, which have a good climate for a slow maturing whiskey. This is now the second cellar from the still room, and it is kind of a showroom for the different casks that are being used to mature the whiskey. And these are now the empty casks from the first bottling of 2012. Thank you for watching, and please visit Whisky.com for more about whiskey and its production.